Now imagine an era when control over the seas was decided by the size of a ship, the thunder of its guns, and its sheer presence. This was the time when the battleship was considered the greatest strength of any navy, just like aircraft carriers are today. Before and during World War II, these massive warships were like floating fortresses, thick armor, towering structures, and guns capable of destroying the enemy from miles away. In this documentary, we will discuss 10 of the largest and most powerful battleships in history. Ships that either changed the course of wars or silently proved that a new era of technology had begun. 1. Musashi, Japan's floating giant. First, we talk about the largest battleship ever built in history. Japan's masterpiece, Musashi. Constructed in 1940 and commissioned into the Japanese Navy in 1942, this battleship displaced 72,800 tons and was armed with 9 terrifying 18.1-inch guns. Its size was so enormous that when it was launched, flooding occurred in a nearby coastal village, as if the sea itself was saluting the giant. But power does not always change fate. In 1944, during the Battle of Leyte Gulf, American aircraft carrier planes targeted Musashi. After multiple torpedo hits and heavy bombing, this colossal ship sank into the depths of the ocean, never to rise again. 2. Yamato, the peak of power, a symbol of decline. The twin sister of Musashi, and perhaps the most famous battleship in history, Yamato. It also displaced 72,800 tons, carried the same 18.1-inch guns, and had armor nearly 16 inches thick. But during World War II, aircraft carriers proved one thing very clearly. The rule of the seas would now be decided by air power, not battleship guns. In 1945, while heading toward Okinawa, American aircraft unleashed destruction upon Yamato. When the battleship sank, more than 3,000 sailors went down with it, and Yamato became a symbol of the decline of battleship dominance. 3. Iowa class, America's sea heroes. Now we turn toward the United States, the birthplace of the Iowa class battleships. Displacing 57,500 tons, armed with 9 16-inch guns, along with additional 5-inch guns. These battleships were not only powerful, but exceptionally fast, reaching speeds of nearly 61 kilometers per hour. Commissioned in 1943, they became true heroes of World War II. And in 1945, Japan officially surrendered aboard USS Missouri. Interestingly, these ships were reactivated in the 1980s, and during the 1991 Gulf War, USS Missouri even fired Tomahawk cruise missiles. Today, 4 ships of this class still exist as museum ships: Missouri, Iowa, New Jersey, Wisconsin, 4 HMS Vanguard. Britain's last battleship, HMS Vanguard, was the final battleship of the Royal Navy. Commissioned in 1946, it displaced 51,000 tons and was armed with 15-inch guns. But the era of battleships was coming to an end. In 1960, Vanguard was retired and scrapped, marking Britain's farewell to the age of battleships. 5. Bismarck, fear, pride, and destruction. Germany's legendary battleship Bismarck, a name that shook the British Navy. Commissioned in 1940 and in May 1941, on its very first combat mission, it sank Britain's pride, HMS Hood. The incident enraged Britain. In response, nearly 50 warships and dozens of aircraft were assigned a single mission: destroy the Bismarck at all costs. Just 9 days after entering service, on May 27, 1941, after suffering multiple torpedo hits, this mighty battleship sank into the sea. 6. Richelieu, France's silent strength. France's battleship Richelieu entered service in 1940. Displacing 49,000 tons, it was armed with 8 15-inch guns. Although it did not gain fame in major naval battles, it participated alongside Allied forces in bombardments against Japanese positions. Richelieu remained in service until 1967, after which it was scrapped. 7. HMS Hood. From pride to tragedy, HMS Hood was once the pride of the Royal Navy. Commissioned in 1920, it displaced 47,400 tons, was 860 feet long, and had a top speed of nearly 60 kilometers per hour. But in 1941, during the Battle of the Denmark Strait, a single devastating hit from Bismarck destroyed the ship within minutes. Out of 1,418 crew members, only 3 survived. 8. Vittorio Veneto. Italy's pride. Italy's battleship Vittorio Veneto entered service in 1940, displacing 45,200 tons, armed with 9 15-inch guns, and capable of speeds up to 58 kilometers per hour. After Italy surrendered in 1943, the ship was taken over by Britain and later scrapped. 9. USS South Dakota. Silent but deadly America's USS South Dakota entered service in 1942, displacing 44,500 tons, armed with 9 16-inch guns. During World War II, it successfully carried out numerous combat missions and destroyed multiple Japanese ships. 10. King George III class. A balance of power. Finally, Britain's King George III class battleships, commissioned in 1940, displacing 44,000 tons and armed with 10 14-inch guns. These ships represented a balanced design,